October 12th, 2009. We are at the home of Bernie Gosnell in Eldersburg. John Forchback is working the camera. Mr. Gosnell, can you tell us where you were born?
I was born in Winfield,
And
in a farm right across from the South Carroll High School. And I don't remember, that's where I was born. I don't remember living there.
you don't remember
We moved
living there.
before I got very big.
About what year did you move?
I couldn't tell you.
You were just
I
a
don't
little.
know.
And where did you live after that?
We lived on Gillis Road. Pickett's Corner,
Yes.
back that road, the second farm on the left.
Where did you go to school?
Winfield. I started at Woodbine, and we had from Gillis Falls Road to Woodbine School was about 2 miles.
Oh my.
You know, and the little kid, you know, going first grade walking on the road. My mother didn't like that,
Right.
so she called Arthur Griffey at Winfield School and said, "My kids got away." He said, "That's a disgrace." He said, "Well, get up to Pickett's Corner, you get to catch a bus and come to Winfield." So that's what we did.
And so you completed school there at Winfield, then.
And I started at Marinary, and I didn't like it, so I quit.
Well, lots of farm boys did that in that time. Your father was a farmer?
Yeah, he was a farmer, but towards the last farming got to be chores, so he up and got a job outside of farming.
Farming is hard work.
Yes, it is.
And doesn't always pay real well. How long have you lived here in Eldersburg?
We've been here since 1960.
Okay. Eldersburg has changed a lot since you've
Yes,
been
it
here.
has.
Yeah.
Yes, it has. We used to call it the crossroads of the universe, but I don't know what you call it now.
I never heard it
Taking your
called.
life in your hands when you go through there.
Yeah. You didn't farm. What
No.
kind of work did you do?
I worked for the city of Baltimore on the Liberty Reservoir.
Ah. And exactly what did you do?
I was superintendent.
Superintendents. Were you part of construction?
Well, we were, yes. We started out, we had enough people, and we cleared all the land for the area where the water is backed up.
Uh-huh.
And the closest bid we ever got on was $500 or $600 an acre, and we did it for $255 an
Wow.
acre.
So you saw little towns disappear and
Yeah.
houses disappear. And
Yeah.
do you remember some of the little towns and homes that?
Oh yeah. Oakland Mill, Woolen Mill,
Uh-huh.
City offered the Melvilles $2 million. So George Melville told Mr. Ningard, who is our general superintendent, said that we would take it, but then we'd have to pay $1 million in taxes. So he let it go under condemnation, and whatever they offered, that's what they got. It was a $1,600,000.
Wow. So when did you retire from the city?
25 years ago.
Wow.
Not quite. Let's see. I was 62, and now I'm 80, almost 84.
Did you do any military service?
World War II, yeah.
You were very young for World War II.
There's a lot of them young.
Yeah.
A lot of youngsters.
Where did you serve?
South Pacific.
And for how long?
We was there about a year and a half.
Uh-huh. Did you see a lot of active
Hmm?
Did you see a lot of activity?
No, not too much.
Uh-huh. And how many children were in your family?
My family is 6 of us.
6 of you.
Mother and father, 8 cats and dogs, I guess you would count.
When you came home from the military service, that's when you took the job with the city?
No, I worked for I worked for the Melvilles down there for a little bit,
Oh, you did?
and then I worked for a guy who was a contractor for linemen for the telephone company. Strung wires all over the place. Hagerstown, Emmitsburg, and so I went to work for the city. City paid more money than they did
Uh-huh.
at the time.
Uh-huh.
I could have went to work for a telephone company for 85 cents an hour. So the city of Baltimore paid 96.
So you took the best
So I
offer.
took the best of the bunch.
Yeah. Yeah.
I probably would have made it better if I went to the telephone company, but that's here and there.
When you were a child, do you remember your grandparents?
Oh yeah.
And did they farm as well?
Mm-hmm.
Were they nearby?
Ma'am?
Were they nearby?
Yeah, they were next to us, yeah.
Yeah. Where did your parents go to the grocery store and things like that?
Winfield,
Uh-huh.
Taylorsville,
Mm-hmm.
mostly.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes they'd go to Westminster, they'd stop at some other stores. But mostly it was Stems at Winfield and Maggins at Taylorsville.
Uh-huh. What do you remember doing for fun?
Wrestling with my brothers,
Pretty much entertained yourself on the farm, huh?
yeah.
Do you remember going to any dances or special events as a teenager? Didn't do too much of that.
No.
No. How about
No.
going hunting and things like that?
Oh yeah.
Did some of that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How about the chores on the farm? Do you remember having lots of chores on the farm?
When my father worked, my brother, he did the milking and I did the feeding.
Uh-huh.
I fed all the animals while he was milking the cows.
How many cows about? How did
We only had, what, 2 or 3, I think, was the
Uh-huh.
time.
Pretty much for the family.
Mm-hmm.
And do you remember your mother using the milk and it being so different than it is today? No?
I don't think so.
No? Did they send it out to be homogenized and
Mm-mm.
pasteurized? No.
No.
No. Did you
Drank the real stuff.
drank the real stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How about butchering and things? Did
Oh,
your
yeah.
parents butcher? So you had some hogs? Yeah.
Made your own scrapple and stuff?
Oh yeah. That was a big time, I'll tell you. My father, he always generally raised 4 pigs.
Uh-huh.
And he would buy them in March or April or something like that. They maybe weigh 15, 20 pounds. And time he butchered them, they dressed out around 400.
Big.
Yeah, it's a big pig.
Big, we usually do about 250s.
Yeah. Did you have a smokehouse or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Does the farm still exist where your family lived? Do those farms still exist?
I guess.
Uh,
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. The farmhouse still exists.
Still there,
Yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then when did you get married? About when? How?
1956.
1956. And how many children do you have?
2.
2? And so you've lived here in Eldersburg.
One of them lives right there next door.
Oh.
My
nice.
son and my daughter lives in Westminster.
Uh-huh. So your family are close by.
Yeah.
How about your brothers and sisters?
Well, I got one brother lives in Riverside, California,
And the rest?
and a sister lives in Winfield. That's the only ones left of us. And me,
Ah.
I'm the only 3 of us left. 3 of them's gone.
You were telling me that I believe it was your mother died during the flu epidemic?
No, it wasn't my mother.
Your grandmother,
It was
or
my father's first.
your father's first wife
Yeah.
died during the flu epidemic.
Right.
And so she died, what, 1918?
Something like that,
Uh-huh.
18, like 19, something, whenever it was.
And your mother was then a Jenkins or a David?
No, his first wife was a
His
Jenkins.
first wife was a Jenkins.
My mother was a Briggs,
Briggs. And where were your mother's people from?
Gaithersburg.
Ah. So,
She had an aunt and uncle lived on Woodbine Road. She'd come up there and visit. That's how she met my father.
I was wondering. So he had small children when they got married.
Mm-hmm.
So she took on a real challenge.
Yeah.
Let's see, since you've been retired, what kinds of things do you do? What kind of things are you interested in?
Well, I made a few things.
Made a few
I made some
things?
bird houses.
I saw the birdhouses. That's what made me think about that. Sure.
We built the house and he's added on every time I've requested something. And he made a hutch for our daughter.
So your wife says you built this house and you've added on as there was a need or you wanted something more to the house. You've made a hutch for your daughter. You've done the bird houses. So
The bench, we use it as a coffee table now, the bench in the living room.
so you've made some other furniture that you've used. So you
Sounds like you're a rather modest craftsman.
it does sound like you're a very
Real,
good craftsman.
real furniture maker, cabinet maker.
Well, that's the problem that people have today. And nobody knows they go to college and win a bigger degree and still don't know where in the hell they're at.
Don't have any practical knowledge, any hand skills.
Yeah.
That is the skill that most farmers have, you know. Most farmers are able to do a little bit of everything. So I guess that's part of growing up as a country boy, huh? You learn to do lots of things as
Yeah.
a child.
Mm-hmm.
You had your chores, you entertained yourself when you had time, got back and forth to school.
Yep.
Yep. Any special memories of your parents? Things that you remember that they did that people no longer do?
Well, they believed in a full-scale breakfast, but
Okay,
nobody does that anymore.
that's true. So you would do the milking and the chores, and then your mother would come in. You'd come in, your mother would have breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
And when you say a full-scale breakfast, give me some idea.
Well, ham and not too much of ham, be like big sausage and eggs and hot cakes.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes she'd have oatmeal, and I told my wife one time, she said, "Want a bowl of oatmeal?" I said, "I had enough oatmeal to last me the rest of my life."
Yeah. Did you have the main meal in the middle of the day then?
Oh yeah.
Dinner was at
Mhm.
what we consider lunchtime now.
We call it dinner and supper.
Dinner and supper. Yep. And then supper would be about what time?
Well, around 6 o'clock, I'd
Uh-huh.
say something like that.
Once you got the
Mhm.
chores done,
Yeah,
then you would
right.
have supper. Yeah. That is different than people do today. a
That's
little bit.
right. Very much.
There were lots of dirt roads around Carroll County when you were a kid. Any ones that you particularly remember being
Well, Gillis Road was dirt road.
Uh-huh.
And I can remember when the Carroll County, all thing they had was 2 snowplows. 2.
Oh, wow. So if you
And,
lived on a dirt road,
And the only way you got a dirt road was somebody had a tractor and snowplow or some kind of V blade to pull behind it and open the roads up.
Most of the farmers took care of the roads the best they could.
But it
then.
didn't make much difference. You can wait a couple of days and it melt away.
Right. Yeah. Do you remember the muddy roads?
Oh yeah,
Ever get stuck?
yeah.
Yeah.
And some of the other interviews we've done, we're talking to people who worked on the farms, and a lot of them remember working with horses and mules. Is that part of your farm as well? And at what point did you go over to tractors?
Just about World War II.
Uh-huh.
So it was horses and mules when you went away and tractors when you came home?
Probably.
No, tractor was there before it left.
Was it?
Yeah.
What kind of tractor did you have?
And Al Chalmers,
Oh,
WC.
Was that the first thing you drove?
Yeah. And a neighbor over had 2 case tractors. He used to let my brother and I run them.
What was the first car that you got?
1941 Ford.
Uh-huh. And did you buy that before you went away then, before you went to war?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I didn't buy it until I got back.
Oh, okay. So you bought that after,
I didn't
after
need
you
no
got
car
back.
then.
Yeah, it was a used.
When I had to come back, I needed one.
You needed one, yeah, because you needed a car for work.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Is anybody in your family still farming?
No.
No. Nobody is interested in that kind of work anymore. Another question. Let's see.
Can you tell a story about your grandmother?
Oh, okay.
Like,
Yeah.
one of her, about late at night, she always made sure.
Yeah, my grandmother.
Yeah.
She
Tell us
lived
about
by
your
herself after my grandfather died, and she never went to bed, no matter how damn cold it was. She never went to bed until all the fire was out of the stove.
Uh-huh. So she was, had there ever been a fire or some reason to make her think that
No,
that was a
not as I
concern?
know of. But she did. She said she wasn't gonna. She said, I could never go to sleep with that fire down there in that firebox. She waited till it go completely
Went
out, then she'd go
completely
to
out.
bed.
So the house was really cold when she woke up in the morning.
That's right.
Yeah, and it takes a while for the house to get warm when you're starting a fire fresh.
Mm-hmm.
You remember getting up in a cold house when you were a child?
That's right. We had an old chunk stove in the living room, and my father would fill that up before he went to bed, and it'd be just burnt down, but it still have a lot of heat in it when he got up.
At least there was a warm place to come to,
Yeah,
even if you were just warm on one side and hot and cold on the other side.
that's right.
Did the farmhouses have hot and cold running or have running water in them, or?
And he carried it from the springs.
Yeah.
that was running water.
Yeah, running water,
Bring
yeah.
it back.
Right.
So, and then heated it on the stove.
Mm-hmm.
Did your mother cook from the cook stove? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah. You remember chopping wood?
Mm-hmm.
Remember carrying it in?
That's right.
Was that one of your chores?
So they don't do it back. And then you go,
Sorry.
Sorry. Do you remember carrying the wood in?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I got a wheelbarrow upstairs that my grandfather made. That's what I used to bring it from the wood pile up to the house with.
Ah. So you didn't have to carry it all in an
No.
armful. Yeah.
The wheelbarrow itself was a chore without the wood on it.
If it was wood, it was a chore without the wood on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. During the winter, do you remember cleaning the wet, or the ice and the snow off the wood to bring it in?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, you generally kept a pretty good pile of wood. You don't.
Uh-huh.
You have to dig in a little bit to where there wasn't much ice on it.
Yeah. All kinds of techniques.
Mm-hmm.
Did your parents have chickens? I know they had the hogs. They had chickens or other kind
Yeah.
of fowl, ducks or geese.
Ducks.
Who gathered the eggs?
Hmm?
Who gathered the eggs?
My mother gathered most of the eggs.
Did
Yeah.
she?
Did you get to kill the chickens on Sunday for dinner?
No, I've done that.
Yeah.
They run around with no heads on for a
Yeah.
while?
Yeah. Yeah. And did you have ducks and geese too?
Hmm?
You had ducks and geese?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about Pickett's Corner. What was it like?
Well, it was called at Bloodville
It was
one
called-
time. There was a doctor came there.
Uh-huh.
He was an Indian,
Yeah?
and he built a house right across from one of them stores. It was a 3-story house he built, and it was before my time. My father
Right.
remembers him, but I don't. And he had a hack and 2 black horses. He rode up and down Woodbine Road. Anybody wanted, felt better, he'd go see him. He was a good doctor. He said he was pretty good. Anyway, a guy down there named Raymond Duvall, I believe, had some daughters, and one of his daughters did the house cleaning for him. And he had 5 children by her.
Mm-hmm.
And this house he built, he was going to veneer it with fieldstone.
Mm.
So he told the farmers, I don't know if you got any fieldstone, to come up there and dump it right there near his place or on the driveway that's close to Fanny Dorsey Road. And the old fellow down there had a farm. He didn't like it. He went and told him, "You gonna move them stone?" He said, "You leave them stone alone, I'll shoot you."
Oh my goodness.
And he did.
Oh my goodness. About what year was that?
I have no idea. But anyway, you'd have to go through the court system. You might find it. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
His name was Haley.
Do you know where Dr. Haley was buried?
No, after they had a trial up there, and after that trial, he left. He never came back.
Okay, so he survived the wound, the gunshot, but he left the area.
Mm-hmm. But he shot this guy in the arm
Uh-huh.
with some kind of old pistol he had, and he took off. But he had 5 children,
Uh-huh.
5 of them.
And what happened with the children? Did they go with their father
You know,
or stay in the area?
I did meet one of them.
Uh-huh.
He lived up there in Westminster. And he worked for the gas and electric company, but he's dead and gone now
Mhm.
too.
Uh-huh. So your father remembered this physician.
Oh yeah.
Was he a trained physician, or do you know?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, but people liked him.
Yeah.
Any other good stories like that your father told you? Any other? Do you remember some of your other neighbors?
Oh yeah, we had neighbors. They was all right.
Mr. Bear,
That's Bear.
Mr. Bear, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
your father helped each other out, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was his name?
Howard.
Do you remember Mr. Howard Bear?
Bear.
Yeah, he helped your father.
Oh, yeah, he used to help. Well, everybody helped when he butchered and he thrashed
Right.
wheat and cut corn off. They all got together, helped each other.
And he was a friend of your father's,
Mhm.
and he lived on one of the
Yeah,
farms
they're
close by.
right beside of ours.
Hmm. Did he have children?
Yeah, he
Yes,
had
you
about
were-
11.
You went to school with them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, do you remember when you cut corn? Did everybody come, or we?
No, not everybody, but you don't want too many in the field. You get nothing done that way. Too much talking.
How many acres did you work?
Oh, I guess 65, 70 acres, something like
Yeah.
that.
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
The other kids in the neighborhood, did you see them very often, or just pretty much at school, or?
School, yeah,
Yeah.
right. Didn't see 'em much during the summer.
Yeah. And did you go to school in the spring or the fall? Did you pretty much go to school during the school year?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Lots of farm boys found that difficult. Yeah. You know, there would be work at home that had to be done sometimes.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Did you have any beef cattle on the farm?
No.
No, you bought that. So you raised your milk, the chickens, you had some ducks or geese at times, and of course the hogs.
Yeah.
Were there any special dishes that you remember your mother cooking on the cook stove?
She was a pretty good cook.
Was she?
So whatever she cooked was,
Cooking on the
Edible.
cook stove can be a challenge.
yeah.
Did you have a favorite meal that you liked her to cook more than anything else?
Well, she did good fried chicken.
All right.
There's a kitty back.
Yeah, the kitty cat.
Baked spaghetti.
Yeah.
Yeah, she made baked spaghetti. Tell me about that.
Well, you take and cook the spaghetti, then you take and put it into a bowl and sprinkle salt and pepper on and put a handful of cheese,
Uh-huh.
another layer until you get it, well, maybe 4 or 5 layers, maybe 6. Put it in the oven, cook it about an hour. Out of this world.
Ah,
That's great.
sounds
Yeah,
good.
it is.
Getting close to lunchtime, I'm getting hungry.
Actually, it's one of our family's favorites.
So that's become a family dish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's spaghetti and cheese, tomato sauce?
Yeah.
No tomato sauce.
I mean, I like it with salt,
Uh huh.
but not everybody. I think I'm the only one in the family that likes it.
So pretty much it's
It's really spaghetti, and I found what seems to be the same kind of recipe, except they had 5 different kinds of cheeses in the spaghetti,
mhm.
the baked spaghetti version. Now, I thought it was supposed to be an old Victorian recipe, which would account for her mother knowing about it.
Sure.
And I
My-
don't know what magazine, I didn't see it in the magazine.
My mother always used sharp cheese. That's all she ever used. I remember.
Cheddar,
Uh huh.
Hmm?
extra sharp.
Yeah.
Extra sharp cheddar. What about holidays? Do you remember any special events that you did, like at Christmas or?
Yeah, Christmas Day was a big day in our place.
Yeah.
The whole family come around and we eat turkey until all that's left was the bones.
Well, when whole families came around, it was usually a lot of people
Yeah.
because they had lots of children. So you had lots of aunts and uncles and cousins. You know.
Yeah.
So, do you remember going sledding as a child? Where did you go sledding?
Well, we had enough hills to sled over.
Yeah, I bet. How about Halloween? Any mischief that?
Well, Halloween, we didn't have no bathroom. Ours was outside and you had to
Right.
watch it. Somebody come and upset it.
Yeah, yeah. Outside toilets were notorious for that kind of stuff.
They come by and want to do something, you know, and you'd be sitting back on a porch, old shotgun, they just shoot over in the bushes, they all leave.
Keep them honest.
Keep them honest is right.
Yeah, keep in mind.
You were working down with the city and clearing off the ground to make the Liberty Reservoir.
That's right.
That had to be quite an experience to go through and see. Did you actually cut down the trees, or they just flooding with the trees standing up?
Oh no, we always cut. We had a sawmill, and we sold a lot of it. And of course, the city of Baltimore is in the progress of expanding their water system, and they needed a lot of ditching material, so that worked out. anything from 6 inches on down, we cut in 5-foot lengths and hauled it to Spring Grove, Pennsylvania, to the paper.
Mm-hmm.
Then bigger than that, you just cut into lumber?
Cut into lumber, yeah. We had some choice lumber sometimes.
I bet you did.
And then you could find some good buyers. They'd buy it.
Uh-huh. Do
How
you
many
remember-
years did it take to actually clear that out and flood the mill area?
Well, I started in 1947, and in 55 it was full of water.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember some of the historic houses that were lost?
Well,
How about the one you always told me about, remember, the county was offered it, remember?
we offered it to the county and they
Yeah,
refused it.
Well, what was the name of it? Do you remember the?
You got a picture in that book.
Yeah, I do, but
You don't know where it's at.
kind of was looking.
What's the area was the house in?
It was up around 140
The Elms?
Elm.
Elms, there it was.
Yeah, that was offered to the county and they refused it.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of that was used in another, was reconstructed in Glendon. Yeah, that was a very interesting historic house, you're right. You remember some of the other buildings? Any other buildings come to mind that you were sorry to see lost?
How about the one where John Nymer's family?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that went back to 17 something.
Mm-hmm.
And where was that home?
That's south of Liberty Road. If you get the Snowden's one, it's way on down the bottom, but that's all gone. Everything's gone.
Yeah. There were lots of homes that were lost, but, and I remember hearing there were some Indian rocks and things. Did you ever see any of that? You know, some carved areas.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Some people carve stuff and then they dream they've seen it.
Yeah. Well, you
It
wonder
seemed-
about some of the stories.
My
that's right.
my wife's father and mother, they lost their home to the city. The city bought theirs and they moved out to Liberty Road.
And that family name was, what was your wife's maiden name?
Trot.
Yeah. And the home was in what area?
Oh, Greensville Road.
Greensville Road, yes. Yes. Well, there was a little town in Greensville, wasn't there? Or
Yeah.
sort of a little community.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole little community was lost. About how many homes were back there?
I guess there's 7 or 8 and one,
Mhm.
and huh?
More than 7 or 8?
Yeah.
Probably a store.
No,
No.
store.
No.
Mhm.
Store is up there on the Oakland Road.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the open mills
Yes.
was the town that was
What-
actually
oh,
on the road.
yeah.
But there's a portion of Greenville Road still, there's homes still there,
Mm-hmm.
but it's now dead end.
Mm-hmm.
But it did connect to Bollinger Mill Road, because that's how we went to Westminster, when I remember.
Mm-hmm.
So Liberty Dam really changed this part of the county. So the loss of Oakland Mills, Green Mills, some of the little, really early historic homes were lost as a result of that. Probably lots of old trees as well, which is you referred to with the good lumber.
My grandparents were in it, what was the name of that tree that I remembered it as?
Large.
Yeah, it was a large tree. You remembered seeing it?
Same as that clock's made out of
Well, I don't know what that clock is.
mahogany.
No, it's not, no.
Mahogany, wasn't it?
Mahogany.
A large mahogany tree.
Yes, I remember that, because I was only 7
Uh-huh.
when me and my family were, after the city had taken, bought our property.
It must have been a very difficult time for lots of families.
It was.
yeah.
And their
They had lived there for a
before,
couple of
yeah.
generations, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
It was. I mean, I'm glad I still have memories and I can still remember with the road and the real deep valley.
Greensville was in,
Yeah, it was
in
right
a- in a
that
valley.
nice valley, yes. What was that, the South Branch, North Branch?
That's Morgan Run.
Okay, Morgan Run ran into it,
Mhm.
which was North Branch. Am I right? Yeah, North
Yeah,
Branch.
we used to sleigh ride from the top of Greensville Road, clean down, across the Morgan Run Bridge, start up the next hill, and
That's right.
there wasn't
Wow.
no cars on the road. Hell, we used to sleigh ride on Liberty Road.
Yeah, I do too.
Can't do that today.
You know,
You better
that's a
believe it.
major change. What other things about Eldersburg do you remember? I'm sure you remember the Brevard farm back here. Yeah,
Eldersburg.
hard to even
That's
think
right.
of all the changes.
I remember when George Gardner ran a filling station. He had a Model A Ford car, coupe, and John Wagner came down there with Blue Ridge bus and stalled it there on 32, and the darn battery wouldn't turn it over.
Oh my gosh.
So he took that Model A Ford and got it behind that bus and pushed it across the road and started towards Sykesville. He cranked it up and got her going. I would never believe that thing would have done that.
Oh, oh,
Bob
amazing.
Randall was somebody that we interviewed some time ago, and his father grew up in that where the Exxon station is now.
He owned that.
Randall's
Yeah.
was the bus station.
That's where George Gardner, he rented the station from, Randall built the station, then he leased it to Standard Oil.
Uh-huh.
So then they rented it out to Gardner.
Mhm.
That's the way it worked.
How about Holy Trinity Cemetery? Do you remember the little cemetery that's up there behind Bob Evans?
I know it's there, but I don't know much about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All my relatives are buried up there in the Morgan Run,
I'm
Up
sure.
at,
Morgan Chapel.
Morgan Chapel.
Yeah, yeah. You have deep roots in that area.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did your family go to church there?
Yeah, they'd go once in a while.
Once in a while. Yeah. And a little hike from where you live to go to
Yeah.
Morgan Chapel. Yeah. Some of the other businesses and old homes around Eldersburg have changed a lot. I'm sure you remember when it was 2 lanes coming through Eldersburg, and that one building sat so close to the road up here on the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What kind of building? What was that?
Well, guy sold cars there
Did he?
one time.
Uh huh.
His name was Conaway.
Ah. Okay.
Charlie Conaway, that's who it was. So he sold cars there. And he had a repair shop. He did repair work too. But it was a very good sized building.
Uh-huh. How about a little further up on the right, the Parrish's house? Do you remember that building?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that being modernized or fixed up at some point? Or
Was this on Liberty Road?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. That's where Huff lived.
where Huff lived, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Parrish's and Mr. Huff lived there. Yeah. And that was an old house, I
Yes, it was.
understand. Have you ever been in that house?
I never been in it, no.
Mhm. Yeah. I've heard that it was a tavern there, an early tavern. Did you ever hear anything about
It used to be
that?
one way straight across from Mullen Avenue,
Oh, yeah?
a tavern.
Uh-huh.
And I don't remember any tavern up that way. See, Carroll County was they were dry on Sunday.
Oh, yes.
You know, when I was a kid, everything was closed up. It was in Carroll County.
Right.
But now, down in Sykesville, across the bridges too, they could open up after 1 o'clock.
Uh-huh.
Howard County,
Howard
Yeah,
County.
Howard
Yeah.
County. And the one in Woodbine would too.
same thing.
That was run by Bob Moore.
Right.
Ah. Do you remember, did you go down into Sykesville much? Or
Oh,
did you-
yeah,
Yeah?
yeah. Crossed the bridge a lot of times.
Across the bridge?
Yeah, Gosnell ran one of those places over there.
Uh-huh.
Gene, he was named Gene Gosnell.
Gosnell.
He was from Woodstock.
Uh-huh. Was he related that you know of?
I don't know whether he was or not, but
Yeah.
there's a town up there on Gillis Falls Road named Gosnell.
Yes, there is, you're right.
When I was a kid, they called it Mount Olive, and it went on for a number of years, and they found out it was, before that it was called Gosnell. They changed it back to Gosnell.
Changed it back.
That was a good thing.
There were a lot of little towns along that area. If you remember Daysville, that was a little town.
I mean, they're right there, Gillis Falls Road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Dave's
guys,
Corner at Hoods Mill and Gillis Falls.
Yeah.
Then there was a Daysville over off near closer to 97, Eden Mill.
Yeah, there were a couple of those little communities there.
and see up Liberty Road, the Liberty Town, and you go almost to the other end, and the road goes off like a Y. That's called Daysville Road up there.
Yes, yeah, yeah, you're right. There are lots of those little communities around. And lots of them had dirt roads going into them, or coming from the farms nearby.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
When I did the Woodbine book, one of the things that we mentioned quite a bit was sports. And a number of people, especially guys like Donnie Haynes, were really avid baseball fans. Were you much of a baseball fan?
I watch it once in a while, but if it don't go my way, I'll turn it off.
Yeah. But growing up, you don't remember getting involved with the Days Midgets or something? It was right there at Days Corner. There was supposed to be Days Midgets. And of course, Woodbine always had a big team.
Yeah.
But you didn't go out to many of the games, local games?
Seems like the farm boys that lived out of the little towns didn't get involved in sports as much as those that lived closer to little communities like that. By the time you got your chores done,
Time to go to bed.
got it. Time to go to bed. Yeah. Any other little special stories that you want to share with us that you thought about? Any little pranks that your brothers and sisters and you got into? Things that kids don't do today that you wanted to share with us? Can't think of anything in particular, huh?
No.
No? Okay. All
As
right.
soon as we leave, you'll come up with 100 things saying, well, gee, I wish I told them.
All right. Well, any other things that you can think of? Just have to let us know. We appreciate you seeing us today, letting us come to your home, and your wife pitching in to help you jog some memories and help us get some of the story about some of the things you've done during your life. And so we want to thank you very much.
You're welcome.